Alice and the caterpillar sat staring at each other in silence for what seemed like a very long time. Finally, the caterpillar swallowed the bite of his savory meal and asked, in a lazy and weary voice, "Who are you?" Alice was already nervous about meeting a giant talking caterpillar, and this cold beginning was not making it any better. So she replied shyly, "I hardly know as of present, sir. At least I knew who I was this morning, but I believe I've been quite changed several times since then." "What do you mean by that?" the caterpillar asked sternly, and with a tone that indicated to Alice that he was already tired of the conversation. "Explain yourself," he exclaimed. "I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir," answered Alice, "because I am not myself at present, as you can see." "I don't see," said the caterpillar. "I'm afraid I can't put it any more clearly," Alice said very politely, "for I can't understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing." "But it isn't," replied the caterpillar. "Well, perhaps you do not think so now, but when you have to turn into a chrysalis, and you know you must some day, and then into a butterfly, I shall think you'll find it quite strange, won't you?" "Not a bit," said the caterpillar, showing no emotion. "Well, perhaps your feelings may be different, but all I know is that it's quite strange to me," said Alice. "You?" said the caterpillar, offended. "Who are you?" This brought them back to the beginning of the conversation. Alice felt a little irritated at the caterpillar's making such very short replies, and she drew herself up and said very gravely, "I think you ought to tell me who you are first." "Why?" asked the caterpillar. Alice realized that this was indeed a good question, and she could not think of a single reason that he should. Besides, this conversation was becoming very unpleasant, as the caterpillar seemed to be in a very poor mood. She began to walk away when the caterpillar said, "Come back. I have something very important to tell you." Oh, this was good! She needed advice, and believed that the caterpillar may well give it to her. "Keep your temper," he said, and then he took another bite of his meal. "Is that all?" asked Alice, trying her hardest to actually keep her temper. "No," replied the caterpillar, mouth full. The caterpillar had terrible manners. "I am but a child, and I know not to speak with my mouth full," thought Alice, but she did not say a word. Alice decided to wait and hear what else he had to say. She had nowhere to go and nothing to do after all. He sat there for quite some time, chewing slowly and paying her no attention. Eventually he swallowed the food he was chewing and said, "So you think you're changed, do you?" "I'm afraid I am, sir," said Alice. "I can't remember things as I used to, and I don't keep the same size for 10 minutes together." "Can't remember what things?" asked the caterpillar. "Well, I've tried to say, 'How doth the little busy bee?' but it all came out different," Alice said in a very melancholy tone. "Repeat, 'You are old, Father William,'" replied the caterpillar. "You are old, Father William," the young man said, "and your hair has become very white, and yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right?" "In my youth," Father William replied to his son, "I feared it might injure the brain, but now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again." "You are old," said the youth, "as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason for that?" "In my youth," said the sage, as he shook his grey locks, "I keep all my limbs very supple. By the use of this ointment, 1 shilling the box. Allow me to sell you a couple." "You are old," said the youth, "and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than soot. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it?" "In my youth," said the father, "I took to the law and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life." "You are old," said the youth. "One would hardly suppose that your eye was as steady as ever. yet you balanced an eel on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever?" "I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough," said his father. "Don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs." "That is not said right," said the caterpillar. "Not quite right, I'm afraid," said Alice timidly. "Some of the words have gotten altered." "It is wrong from start to finish," said the caterpillar decidedly, and there was silence again for some time. The caterpillar took another bite, swallowed, and then said, "What size do you want to be?" "Oh, I'm not overly fond of any size," Alice quickly replied. "Only I do not like changing size so often, you know." "I don't know," said the caterpillar. Alice had never been this contradicted before, and she was beginning to get quite angry. She was having a hard time keeping her temper. "Are you content with your size now?" asked the caterpillar. "Well, I shall like to be a little taller, sir, if you wouldn't mind too terribly," said Alice. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be." "It is a very good height," said the caterpillar, offended, as he was exactly 3 inches tall. "But I'm not used to it," pleaded poor Alice in a piteous tone, and she thought to herself, "I wish the creatures here were not so easily offended." "You'll get used to it in time," said the caterpillar as he took another bite of his food. Alice waited patiently for the caterpillar to impart some more useless advice upon her. However, she had no idea what was going on, and he did, so his useless advice was the best she could hope for. After a while, the caterpillar climbed down and crawled off into the distance, all the while saying, "One side will make you grow taller, the other will make you grow shorter." "One side of what? The other side of what?" Alice thought to herself. "Of the flower," said the caterpillar, just as if she asked it aloud, and in another moment it was gone. Alice sat looking thoughtfully at the flower for a minute, trying to make out which were the 2 sides of it, and as it was perfectly round, she found this to be a very difficult question to answer. However, at last she stretched her arms around it as far as they would go, and broke off a piece from each side. "Now which is which?" she said to herself as she nibbled a little from the right-hand side, just to try the effect.